Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about the full moon in Cancer happening on January 6th. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Charlie. I'm an astrologer and tarot reader, and you can book a reading with me at charliestar.com, or if you're local in Tacoma, you can come see me at Crescent Moon Gifts on 6th Avenue, and I'm there on Fridays. Today we're going to be talking about the full moon happening in the sign of Cancer on January 6th. It's exact in local time January 6th around 3 p.m. So if you're going to go out and see the full moon before it's exact rather than as it's waning, then you're going to want to be going out and looking at it on January 5th. I'll pull up the full moon chart in just a second so you can get a good look at it. But I did want to say that I am liking this full moon in Cancer. The main aspects that we have with this full moon is that it is illuminating Mercury retrograde in Capricorn, and it's also in a sextile to Uranus in Taurus. What this means is that Uranus in Taurus is giving us an opportunity. This is an opportunity for something new, and it might feel fated or like it's destiny, like this is the direction that we're supposed to go, because Uranus is still in a loose conjunction with the North Node. Also, the sextiles between water signs and earth signs indicate that the opportunity being created is an opportunity that we've intentionally worked for ourselves. This is like further magnified by Capricorn, because Capricorn is being illuminated here with the Sun and Mercury retrograde in Capricorn. So what this is telling me is that with this full moon, we are coming to a head with something that we've planned for. This is the fulfillment of something we've put in work for, with Capricorn being the work element here. We've worked for this, we've created an opportunity for this, and now we're experiencing a fulfillment, a culmination of something that we've worked for. This is also giving me new beginning vibes as well. And if you're starting something new at this full moon in Cancer, then you are well positioned to have a good result for the thing that you're beginning, because there is that sextile to Uranus and the North Node. What this is really telling me is that new beginnings that happen at this time may feel fated, may feel like destiny, and they're happening for a reason. Even if it doesn't feel like a very, very exciting opportunity or very, very exciting new beginning, this is embedded with the element of fate. It's embedded with the fact that whatever started at this full moon is happening for a reason. And what's going to come out of what begins at this full moon is going to give you an opportunity. So it may be that the thing that you're starting at this full moon isn't the fated thing, it isn't the exciting thing, but it's going to open a door. It's going to open windows of opportunity. And once again, this is an opportune moment to create those opportunities yourself. So if you are manifesting and you practice intentional manifesting, this full moon is a really good time to manifest things, because we do have that sextile to Uranus and Taurus. Let's look at the chart. Here's our full moon at 16 degrees of Cancer. Across the way, we have the Sun at 16 degrees of Capricorn and Mercury going retrograde at 17 degrees, but because it's in retrograde and the Sun, of course, is not in retrograde, they're strongly applying to each other. So they're actually in a very tight conjunction. This makes Mercury retrograde a big deal in this full moon. So as we're thinking back on plans that we've had in the past, goals that we are maybe wanting to fine-tune, things that we've been thinking about for quite some time, this is an opportunity to begin those things. It's also an opportunity to culminate these things. But the reason why I'm focusing on beginnings is because of this Mercury retrograde. What it's telling me is that there's stuff that we have wanted to take action on for some time, and this full moon is indicating this action is beginning. This is like the kickoff of something. I do see that as well as an action that is also a culmination of sorts. Generally, when things begin, they're also a fulfillment of something. So for example, starting a new job, this is a fulfillment of your efforts in applying for that new job. This is a fulfillment of your efforts in deciding that you wanted that new job. But it's also a beginning of something significant as well. So I do see both of those things happening with this. So right here we have, let me just embolden this for you. So right here we have Uranus and Taurus. You see it's at 15 degrees right here. It's in a trine with the sun, and it's in a sextile with the moon. We're wanting to pay attention specifically to the moon, because the moon is not only obviously the thing that we're looking at because it's a full moon, but it's also the ruler of this full moon, because the moon actually rules the sign of Cancer. So that is something that we do want to look at. I'm really focusing a lot on this sextile. Why? Because, well, kind of because of personal reasons. When evaluating this full moon in the lives of myself, in the lives of my partner, in the lives of people in my life, I was seeing that this opportunity was really, really important. It was like the fulfillment of something that we created an opportunity for. And this thing is new. This thing is new, and that's symbolized by Uranus, because Uranus symbolizes new things. Now, this might not come together exactly as anticipated, and the thing that you're starting might not be actually the thing that you are expecting. So what I'm trying to say is, whatever is beginning at this time may have some surprises, or it can just be that you're beginning something that's completely out of your realm of experience thus far. This is being indicated by Uranus, but I'm loving that the North Node is right here as well. So it does seem like, yes, this is the direction that we're supposed to go. I do want to point out just briefly that we also have, let me just go back on these little circles so I can circle the right thing here. We have Black Moon Lilith right here, and we have Chiron right here in a square to the moon, and Black Moon Lilith in a conjunction to the moon. It's loose, it's not exact. What's going on kind of in the background of this full moon is that there may be some things that are a little bit painful when it comes to how we have begun things, how we're starting things, how we're getting our needs met, what parts of ourselves are not being fulfilled by this new beginning, by this ending. So that's kind of going on in the background. I will say that this is kind of manifesting, for me, it's manifesting in that the thing that's being indicated here, in my opinion, is not necessarily the most ideal itself, but I'm recognizing that it is something that is going to be good in the long run down the road, which is very Capricorn, right? We have Mercury retrograde in Capricorn and the sun in Capricorn being highlighted and illuminated here from the moon. And Capricorn is a sign that thinks towards the future and thinks, hey, this is going to be the best thing for me in the long run. It's not maybe the most comfortable. We have Uranus right here. With all the newness of Uranus, it's not comfortable. We're kind of out of our comfort zone. And with Capricorn here, this may feel like work. Whatever it is that we're working on, whatever it is that we're beginning at this time, it can feel like work. It can feel like something that is putting us in an uncomfortable space. However, because of this sextile here to the North Node, this is most likely in our best interest. So a couple other things we have loosely is we do have Neptune in Pisces. There's a loose trine here, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, so 6 degrees off. So we do have that. To me, what that's telling me is there's an opportunity for a culmination or a fulfillment of something that we have dreamed of up until this point, possibly something that we have not taken action on until now. It's kind of just been in the dream phase of things, in the mental, emotional, swirling around inside of us, imagining state of being up until now. But now there's an opportunity for this to come to a head and to come into being. Let's get into what each of this can mean for each of the signs. Aries rising, this full moon is happening in your 4th house of home. The sextile to Uranus is happening to your 2nd house of resources. And the Sun and Mercury retrograde are in your 10th house of career. This is also the house of fatherhood and also the house of motherhood with Capricorn and Cancer. There's a good chance that some of you guys are going to be finding out that, oh, surprise, you're pregnant, or you are taking home a child, you're becoming a parent. There's a good likelihood of that. The other thing is that some of you may be moving, so you might end up with a new home. Whatever is happening in your 4th house of home, there's a new beginning here, and there is most likely something new that you're obtaining here because of your 2nd house of resources being aspected from Uranus and Taurus. So you're most likely receiving something new into your home. You may be starting a new job, and the reason for starting the new job is that so you have more money for your home and your family, that type of thing. Some of you are reconsidering things at work. You're reviewing things from last year, things that have not been finished from last year. You're refining those projects, you're polishing up those projects, you're going back over. You're still doing end of review stuff when it comes to work, even though the new year has already began. You're still kind of in review mode for those things, and the full moon is going to bring to a head, bring to an ending some of the things that are kind of like born out of that evaluation. Taurus rising, this full moon is happening in your 3rd house. The 3rd house is a house of communication, the house of siblings, short distance travel, people that are in our day-to-day lives, and also our childhood from K through 12. Because Mercury in retrograde is being illuminated here, there is a good chance that people from this area of your life, K through 12, are going to make a comeback, show up. There's going to be a reunion of sorts. Where it's most likely going to be unanticipated because there is an aspect to Uranus and Taurus in your 1st house. So there's something kind of surprising about it. There may be that the event to get together with somebody is anticipated, but there's something surprising that they have to tell you, or you could just be blindsided by the fact that this person is popping back up. The other thing here is that you may hear surprising news from your siblings. You may have surprising news to share with your siblings because Uranus is in your own 1st house. Because Uranus is in your 1st house and is being aspected by this sextile to the moon, you are also creating new opportunities for yourself in this area. This can be related to travel, this can be related to school, this can be related to commute. Some of you might be getting new cars. There's a lot of you that are reviewing your education and reviewing your knowledge, reviewing the skills that you have, because the 3rd house and the 9th house talk about the skills that we have. The 3rd house is more applicable skills that we need right away, and then the 9th house, where Mercury is in retrograde, this is our higher knowledge, our higher education. So some of you are in school and you're reviewing things from last semester. Others of you are out of school, but you may be reconsidering going back to school. These are the types of things that this full moon can bring up for you. I would advise you to take a look at where the moon is in your own birth chart, because I am seeing this play a significant role in interpreting what's happening for an individual with this full moon. Gemini rising, this full moon's happening in your 2nd house of finances and resources. The Mercury retrograde is happening across the wheel in your 8th house of shared resources, shared finances, shared responsibilities, new beginnings that are transformative, and this includes taxes, student loans, inheritance, anywhere where our finances get tangled up with somebody else's. Because Mercury's in retrograde here, there's a review that you're going through of these topics in your life. You're thinking back on, how are we going to do this? How are we going to manage our finances? How are we going to blah, 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 blah when it comes to making these big purchases? Having a full moon in your second house, especially because it's sextile to Uranus in your 12th house, most likely you guys are making a big purchase. You're making a big decision right now when it comes to what you're going to do with your money. And you may be spending it on something that is surprising to other people. That money is leaving your wallet. This is the 12th house. This is the house of letting things go. So you're most likely spending a large amount of money. Mars is still retrograde in your first house. So your energy is still kind of maybe not ready to fully go through with this, but perhaps the decision is being made now. Perhaps the commitment is happening now, but maybe the money's not quite dropping. There's something about this because of the retrogrades that is coming to a completion, but it's not quite done yet. So possibly you made an offer on a house, for example, but you're still waiting to hear back from that offer. You haven't actually closed the house yet. Something along those lines. Take a look too at where the moon is in your own chart, because this is going to add some additional information as to what's going to happen to you at this full moon. Cancer rising. This full moon is happening, of course, in your first house. So what's happening at this full moon for you is the culmination, the fulfillment, or taking action on something that you desire. This is most likely something that you and a partner, if you're in a relationship, have been reviewing together, because the Mercury retrograde is happening in your 7th house. There's a harmonious aspect between both of these things to Uranus and Taurus and your 11th house of hopes, dreams, wishes for the future. Something is being taken action with, and you're most likely the one who is taking the action towards those things, but it's in consideration of the things that are important both to you and to the other people in your life. Leo rising. Most of you are beginning or leaving jobs. This full moon is happening in your 12th house. The Sun and Mercury retrograde is going retrograde in your 6th house of day-to-day work, and it's in a harmonious aspect with Uranus and Taurus, which is your 12th house, your 10th house of career. What this is telling me is that the moment of isolation, the moment of pondering, the moment of reflecting, the moment of being alone and trying to evaluate what it is that you want is kind of over. Now you are taking action on this. You're beginning something new when it comes to work and career. And this is something that is completely new to you. But this is an opportunity that you've created, most likely because this was what feels right for you moving forward. This is what feels right for you long term. So that's what I see for you. Take an additional look at where the moon is in your own chart, because this is going to give you secondary information. Virgo rising. This full moon is happening in your 11th house of hopes, dreams, and wishes for the future, as well as friends and groups. There's a harmonious aspect from your 9th house, which is Uranus and Taurus, and Mercury is going retrograde in your 5th house of children and creativity. This is giving me energy of that you're fulfilling or beginning something related to the creative center. There can be a creative project. It does look like, because there's also a harmonious aspect from Neptune and Pisces in the 7th house, that you're being supported. There's like agreement that's happening from your partner in this direction. If you're launching in a new project, it's going to open a lot of opportunities to you. This does have to do with creativity, creative work. It can be that you have a child that is experiencing something new at this time that you are proud of, that you think is going to go in a new direction. There may be something about the topic of children that you and your partner are reviewing, and there is an emotional agreement about what direction you're going to be taking with this topic. Take an additional look at where the moon is in your own personal chart, because this is going to give you additional information about what's happening. Libra rising. This full moon is happening in your 10th house of career. The sextile to Uranus is from your 8th house, which has to do with shared resources, and Mercury is going retrograde in your 4th house of home. You're reviewing things at home, and there may be some surprising hidden costs that are a shared responsibility, and because of that, you're making some decision about what you're going to do to cover those expenses, to provide for those things. You are definitely concerned with the home environment and what's going to be best further down the line for your family. For that reason, you're making some decisions and you're taking some action when it comes to your career, when it comes to your finances, when it comes to what you are going to do in order to provide and cover for these expenses and these needs of the home. Take an additional look at where the moon is in your own personal chart, because that's going to give you a secondary thing to interpret what is going to happen at this full moon. Because of the harmonious aspect to Uranus and Taurus, which is also the North Node, it does look like whatever decision you're making at this time is going to be in your best interest. And it may be something that surprisingly, I'm hearing surprisingly, opens doors for you in the future. Scorpio rising. This full moon is happening in your 9th house of spirituality, higher learning, higher education, and long distance travel. Mercury is going retrograde in your 3rd house of day-to-day work, day-to-day skills, and you do also have a sextile to Uranus and Taurus from your 7th house. This is definitely a fulfillment, a culmination, a new beginning of something that is related to your own personal growth. This is very deep energy that I'm seeing here, because this part of the chart is really emphasizing your need to go deeper, your need for spirituality, your need for self-reflection. This is unlike most people, which may have more of action written into this full moon. Yours is deep and personal. There may be aha moments that you're having about yourself. You may also be very surprised at the level of support that you're receiving from people in your lives, because you might have felt that you were really alone or unsupported, and there may be a pleasant surprise that you actually are fairly well supported by significant relationships in your life. You may also be learning things about not just yourself, but learning things about other people, especially people from your past, people from your childhood, say K through 12, may be coming back up to the surface. That is definitely something here for you, because Mercury is retrograde in that 3rd house, which does have to do with our early childhood education. Some of you are reviewing skills, practical skills that you have, and you're thinking, you know what, it's not enough. I need to go back to school. I need to excel. I need to become a master of this topic. The level of education I have on this thing is maybe enough to get by, but it's maybe not going to take you as far as you want. Hence this full moon in the 9th house, which can talk about mastery. It can talk about going the furthest distance in order to get the information and the knowledge that's really going to make a difference for us. Take an additional look at where the moon is in your own chart. This will give you secondary information about what's happening to you at this time. Sagittarius rising. This full moon is happening for you in your 8th house of shared resources and death and transformations. Because of the Mercury retrograde that's happening in your 2nd house of resources and finances, and there's a sextile to Uranus and Taurus in your 6th house of day-to-day work, there may be some surprising information that comes to a head at this time when it comes to shared resources, shared responsibilities, and this is an opportunity that is presenting itself possibly for you to go back to work at an old job, or for you to begin a new job because of the reviewing that you and potentially a partner, if you're in a partnership, have been going over for quite some time. Because you do have Mars going retrograde in your 7th house of partners, there's a lot that you have been reviewing with somebody else when it comes to what's going to happen in the future. Where are you going to spend your money? Where are you going to be moving forward? What are the needs that you're going to have to need to meet in the future? All of these things are under review, and with this full moon happening in your 8th house, there may be some new information that comes up, and there may be a new beginning or a signing on of something when it comes to shared resources, shared responsibilities. And like I said, it is connected to something kind of unexpected when it comes to your work. Capricorn rising. This full moon's happening in your 7th house. Mercury is going retrograde in your 1st house of self. there's a lot that you're reviewing right now. There's a lot that you're thinking about. You're rethinking everything, all the steps that you want in life. Every piece of the puzzle is being scrutinized by you right now. And this is signified so much by this Mercury retrograde in conjunction with the sun in your first house. Because of this full moon in the 7th, sextiling Uranus and Taurus in your 5th house. This is giving me the energy that your partner is saying yes to something. You're getting the green light on something. There's other people in your life that are saying, yes, do it, go for it, we support you. Because this Uranus and Taurus is happening in your 5th house, some of you may be, this is related to creative projects, related to dating, or related to children. Something along the lines of this is new for you, and it's something that you've been wanting for some time. And you're finally getting supported. You're finally getting somebody to move this process along. There's finally an opportunity that you most likely have worked for yourself for these things to actually start to happen. Aquarius rising, this full moon in Cancer is happening in your 6th house of service and day-to-day work. The symbolism that I'm seeing here is that you're saying goodbye to something. Things are being under review by you when it comes to what no longer fits in your life. So there is an element of release. There's an element of saying goodbye. There's an element of moving your life in a new direction by letting go of things that are from the past. This can feel kind of sad. This can feel kind of sort of like cathartic when it comes to saying goodbye to these things, because if you are saying goodbye to stuff right now, it's not exactly easy. It's, like I said, kind of sad, kind of emotional. It's something that was significant to you in some way, shape, or form, but you are laying it to rest. It does feel like you're laying it to the rest for the better of yourself in the long run, but it's just kind of a moment where you're releasing it. There's a positive, harmonious aspect from Uranus and Taurus, and this is coming from your 4th house. So, like I said, some of you, this may indicate moving actually to a new home and hence saying goodbye to the old one. But this energy here is really just saying that there's new beginnings happening and new things happening when it comes to the home, when it comes to the family of origin, or when it comes to the home that you have for yourself now. And because of these new things, there's an opportunity for something else when it comes to work and when it comes to what you find to be nourishing. Because this is the 6th house, and I can't forget that we have just entered into a new year, the 6th house also covers the topics of our habits. This is our health. This is our exercise routine. This is our nourishment when it comes to like nutrition. There may be some of you that are cutting out things out of your diet because I said this moon has kind of like a letting go, a releasing, an evaluation of what no longer is going to be helpful for you moving forward. So some of you, if you're making dietary changes, most likely you are letting go of something in your diet that you think is not going to be helpful anymore, and you're trying to make some lifestyle changes. What I would recommend if this is you is just remember that it is going to lead to feelings of deprivation if you're only focusing on what you're cutting out. You definitely want to focus your attention on what is it that you're adding. What is it that you're gaining out of this experience? Maybe what are the nutrients that you are going to be adding to your diet? What is the food that you're going to be focusing on serving? How do you create pleasure and enjoyment and fulfillment out of those things? Because that is going to be something that really helps you to stay motivated and stay on track with these new goals. And finally, Pisces rising. This full moon is happening in your 5th house. The 5th house has to do with children, dating, recreational activities, pleasure, and sex. So anything that's creative can be fulfilled or begin here. I'm really liking this for you. There is this sextile to Uranus in your 3rd house. This has to do with siblings. It can have to do with practical skills or things of the nature of short distance travel. So because of this harmonious aspect and because Mercury is going retrograde in your 11th house of hopes, dreams, wishes for the future, you're reviewing what it is that you want moving forward. And there's this like creative birth that's happening in your 5th house. And I'm loving this for you, Pisces, because this is a really good time to manifest something that you really want for yourself for the future. Because Pisces is a sign that has to do with dreaming of the future, and Capricorn in your house of hopes, dreams, and wishes is having a Mercury retrograde. It's like you're reviewing your hopes and dreams for the future right now, and you're actually wanting to take action on it. You're actually wanting to take some steps. You're actually wanting to take this imagination that you have and put it into practicality, put it into the real world. And this is a really good time to do this because you have this sextile creating opportunities for you to whatever is your new goal. This is definitely a creative time to be creative, to express yourself creatively, to enjoy the love and the romance that you do have in your life. All of these things are very harmonious and well aspected right now. So this is a good time to manifest. This is a good time to have a romantic evening with a lover, with a partner. This is also a good time to cheer your children on, to be there for them, to support them in possibly some successes that they're experiencing at this time. Okay, and that's it. Thank you so much for watching. And if you like this video, please sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and turn on the notifications so that you can get notified of all my full and new moon videos. Happy New Year and happy full moon.